Hello and welcome back to the Two Average Brownbros podcast. I'm your host, Prashank.
And I'm your host, Andres.
Today is April 5th, 2021. Welcome back to the show.
It's already April, Prashank, and I cannot still wrap my mind around it. How has it been already, almost a month since we started actually recording our podcast? It's just I can wrap up my mind around that.
Today is our fourth episode already, right? That's
Yes.
pretty crazy. I hope the listeners are enjoying us too, listening to us talk, blab on, whatever it is. I hope we've been informational but also interactive and fun,
Yes, I really hope all of our audience is really enjoying just us talking about topics that we have in common and that we want to just bring our opinion into. So kind of like on that, Roshan, this week, kind of like what's been going through your mind in terms of like news or just personal experiences? What you've been thinking about?
So before we go on to that, I would just like to point out that on our Instagram page, someone replied to one of the questions that we had posed about last week's episode. The question was, what travel, tips and secrets would you like to share with us? And one of our avid listeners, he shared the following tip of never being afraid to ask others for help when you're traveling. And, that's one of the things that you kind of like grow into, because like usually, when you're traveling for the first time by yourself, you're more like shy and reserved. Not everyone, but most people are, right? So, and if you ask for help, you're not gonna seem like a fool. You're not gonna seem dumb or anything. You're literally, this is your first time at this place, or maybe you've been there before, but you're still not sure. It's asking questions is never a bad idea, right? So, and I do that all the time. I don't know about you, Andreas, but it's definitely a good way to learn.
Oh, it's if you don't ask for help, one, you're not gonna be enjoying your trip as much because you're gonna be worried. Am I going the right place? Am I doing what am I supposed to go? So you're just like putting more anxiety within your trip. That if you just go to someone and ask for help, like either the front desk staff at a hotel or like the person that is serving you at a restaurant, don't be afraid to ask for help. It might be a little bit nerve wracking, but it will ease your travel a lot more. So thank you so much for the person who sent us that tip over through an Instagram. And for our poll, I'm glad that even though it was a yes or an of course, everyone who participated on it has an interesting story. So Prashank and I are waiting to hear from those crazy stories from you guys.
Yes, definitely send those in. And whether you want to be, named in this podcast or remain anonymous, we'll be happy to share your secrets, tips, stories, whatever you want to share with us.
Absolutely.
But back to for this week. So, as you know, the Suez Canal was blocked by that massive ship, and it finally got freed after I think it was like 5-6 days.
Yes.
And that was pretty insane to see because, when you live in different parts of the world, you really don't think about things like that. But when it comes in the news, it's like one of the most like things that people focus on because it's like, affects everyone. And I was reading that more than 400 vessels were stranded in that area because of that one ship stuck in the canal, right? And I think monetary wise, it was like in the billions, like tens of billions that were like, I don't know if it was going to waste, but that was being like spent just because of this blockage. So that was really cool to like read about and watch different news sources and like YouTube videos explain it. It was really cool.
Oh yeah, no, like I mentioned last week, I got a little bit into understanding about it. And yeah, no, like the amount of like money that was put on hold was like pretty insane. And then companies having to make decisions about their cargo ships and people, some of them going and deciding that, you know what, we're just gonna go around the Horn of Africa, and that at the end of the day adds more costs to shipping and more like it's like 10 more days of shipping that they have to go through. So it is quite kind of like how one ship, it's like an enormous ship, but how can something like that just could hold a lot. And I was also reading that Egypt, in order to kind of like get up to times with the canal. They decided to kind of like have extra canals, like an extra canal, so that like boats could be diverted. But they only built that for one segment, and the segment that the boat got stuck on was a segment that didn't have a divergence. So
Of course. The cost of losses and damages from the blockage is likely to top $1 billion, it said. Absolutely mind blowing because, it's when you think about it, you think it's just one ship, but I don't know if you've seen the pictures of it, but it like they were trying to use like tiny, like, excavators and like backhoes to like take out dirt.
yes.
And you see this massive, boat right there, which was pretty mind blowing, not gonna lie.
Oh yeah, it was mind blowing. How it got released, yeah, and like the efforts from everyone. But nature did its thing and provided a pretty good high tide, which helped the boat come back to be in buoyancy. So at the end of the day, nature helped out a lot in order to get this out of the way.
Mother Nature's always helping us, but we never help Mother Nature, right?
Yeah, that's something for us to really take and like really think about.
So what interesting thing did you learn this week? What interesting or cool thing?
So I wouldn't say it's cool. It is interesting and has kind of like put a little bit more of a picture of kind of like how things are going back home. Uh, so we just had like this big, like it's all over the news back in Mexico in regards to the level of like killings and brutality against women, which has been a conversation for a very long time. Now that women are standing up for themselves and demanding things. But then I think it was just like during the week, this there was a woman in one of like the touristic places in Mexico, in Tulum, that she also like suffered from police brutality. So people are just talking about it, and then it just paints the picture of what is really happening in the country.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, not cool. Definitely interesting to see kind of like how now like something that became just in regards to we were talking about it, now it's just like it's just even getting more media attention based on everything that's going on. Plus, everything happening back home is just like mind blowing when it comes to COVID and how they're trying to distribute all the vaccines. Like my parents send me and my friends send me pictures because in one of the malls they put like a drive-through, but they didn't put any organization to it. Like no logistics went into like, okay, let's do it alphabetically or let's do it by by license plates or anything. No, so people were camping since 2 a.m. outside of the mall. Apparently the line just kept on going and going and going, and it was like a friend comes back from work like in the evening, nighttime, and still the line was going around the mall all the way like down one of the main roads, and it was just mind-boggling that people were just like they were not giving any instructions and they're camping. Which I mean, I understand people need their vaccines and they want their vaccines, but there's a way to go about it.
In Nepal, I haven't heard too much. Like, I know a couple of people that have been getting vaccines, but I think for the most part, we're still waiting for China and India to ship out their vaccines to us. That's actually really crazy to hear.
So that's really has been that's kind of like what it's been on my mind lately.
Did you also hear about that? Like that man who drove his car into the barricades in the Capitol in Washington D.C.
I did not hear about that.
Yeah, so I think it was on Friday. Not sure. Maybe at this time of recording, I hadn't looked into it, but this man drove his car into the barricade. Because they set up like barricades at the Capitol after the January 6th events, and he ended up hitting two police officers. But then he came out of the car wielding a knife, and then he got shot. So I think he either died there or at the hospital. But one of the officers also died at the hospital afterwards. So pretty tragic, like the violence that's happening across the U.S. It's scary sometimes.
Yeah, it is just like sometimes people don't learn and they just keep on behaving the same way. And I'm just like, it just gets to a point that it just gets frustrating and it gets like it's just like an annoyance of like, can we you just like when you put some reason into it, or when you try to apply some thinking, it like things like this shouldn't happen. But I mean, everyone thinks their own way, so it is what it is.
And like I don't know if you've ever been to DC, but like the National Mall where like the Capitol is and the Lincoln Memorial,
Yep.
the Washington Monument, it's super cool. Like I've been there 2 times now or 3 times, and every time I go to DC, I love walking around there because it's just like such a nice, peaceful place, and you see all these like cool museums and like historic buildings and stuff. But it's sad because I think going forward they're gonna have a lot more like security and like perimeter fencing around. People just ruin things for others. So, all right, before we move on to the next segment, it is Easter, so happy Easter, Andreas.
Thank you. Yes, it is Easter Monday.
As well, I forgot to mention last week was Holy, so happy belated Holy for the people that celebrate Holy last week, and then Easter for people that celebrate Easter this week.
And also, happy Passover for whoever celebrates Passover.
Yeah, so many festivals. I love it. Sadly, we can't celebrate with people,
I know.
We're still under lockdown. Yay.
Yeah, like I said, keep it safe. So, so anything coming up, any festivities that you have, please make sure to keep it safe.
Party hard, but party responsibly and safe.
Exactly. That should be a thing that people should tell to college students.
All right. I know, Andres, last week we talked about traveling. Guess what we're talking about this week?
I know, Rishang. Are you talking about my one true love that I only have?
If you're thinking about what I'm thinking, yes, it is. Food.
Oh my God, yes, it is. It is what I was thinking about.
We're just in sync. And the funny thing is, we don't even talk about our episodes beforehand. So it's pretty... We're just in sync.
It is such in sync. Like, honestly, I'm just like, oh, is he really going to take me there? But I'm happy to be there because, as you know, Lent is over. So then I can finally meet up with McDonald's.
Oh, McDonald's is so good. It's unhealthy, but I love McDonald's. It's my like go-to fast food place. I think it always has been.
Hands down. Like, you know what you're getting. That's the thing I like about McDonald's. You know what you get, like what you're getting. It's not like, oh my God, it's like my chicken double or like my chicken gonna be different this time. It's always the same.
So my first question to you, Andres, is what is your favorite food or foods? Like, what's your top 3 favorite foods?
I feel like this question is loaded, Bershank. I don't know. I just like I love food so much, and I'm such a foodie. It's not like, oh, I know the technicalities about food and like how things should be prepared. I'm just like a foodie because I really like exploring different flavors. So I'm always down to trying new things within reason. But my first answer is extremely biased. I love Mexican food, and I'm like extremely biased. I grew up in Mexico. I From time to time I cook that over here, like all the way in Canada. I do evaluate the Mexican restaurants over wherever I go, and I go to a Mexican restaurant. I do evaluate it because I want to see if it's as authentic as it is back home. I love Mexican foods because it's such a variety. So there's already enough variety when it comes to cuisines, but within Mexico we have so many different cuisines itself, and you just can get so much, like from seafood from the coastal region to different dishes depending if you're on the north. Then you have amazing meat. If you go to the center, you have like our traditional dishes. You have mole. You have different kinds of tacos, quesadillas, and all of that. Plus, you get the fusion from all the different cultures that have come and lived in Mexico City. And then you go to the south, like to Yucatan, to Tulum, to Cancun, and all of those areas. And even though they're coastal, because they're in a different part of the country and the climate is very different, they have a different cuisine, which is like amazing and to die for. So that's why I love Mexican cuisine. And then I would say my other option is Italian, but that's just because I love pasta and I love carbs and I love gelato. So so I love Italian cuisine. And my third one, even though I'm not that kind of brown, I'm the Latin American kind of brown. I do sympathize and really love the other kind of brown food. So I do also love South Asian cuisine. Give me a naan, give me some butter chicken, give me some masala, a dola. I'm here for that. I love all the flavors that encompass that, and anything with spice, because as a brown person, I do love my spice in my food, and that's not only salt and pepper.
That's I knew you were gonna say that. I knew that was headed there. For myself, I agree with you on like every point. Like my favorite, I love eating. First of all, there's not really that many things that I don't like, but my favorite cuisine, number one, has to be Italian. I love my pasta. Like I know it's a lot of carbs, but like I could eat any type of pasta any day, all day, every day. You know.
Oh yes.
And my favorite has to be lasagna. Like I love making lasagna at home because there's so like I know there's like food. There's so many ways to take different things. Like I know there's like recipes that you can follow, but like you can always add your own flavor to it, right? Like you can add your own little thing that you like. And even when I make like normal pasta, you know, I'll like bake it a little bit just to get that little baked flavor. I guess baked cheese, you know, like the cheese that melts on top of pasta.
Oh yeah.
That's so good. I love that. And then I also love Thai food, like the peanut sauce. Oh, that like peanut sauce goes well with so many things.
Yes.
I literally like sometimes I'll just go to like it's not a Thai place, it's a Vietnamese place actually right by my house. They sell the fresh rolls.
Ooh.
And it comes with the peanut sauce, and I love the peanut sauce so much. It's just like so savory, right?
It is just like, yeah, it's a nice mixture.
Because it's like sweet, but it also has that little like kick to it. And lastly, you know, I do love Mexican food. Like I could go for a burrito, or like not just like Taco Time or Taco Bell, but like actually like, you know, authentic Mexican restaurant. Go and get those big burritos with like those beans and rice on the side and like chips and guacamole. With a group of friends, I think Mexican food is probably one of my favorite things to do because you can share it in so many ways.
Yes.
And like when I go to a restaurant, like I love sharing food. Like usually if I go with like, you know, my brother or my girlfriend or my family, we'll all get like different things and we'll just share it. Like I don't know, everyone's like that. Not everyone likes sharing food and they just get their food, eat it, and that's it. But for me, I'm one of those people that likes to try different food. So I'll tell other people to get something that, you know, this might be selfish on my part, but I'll get something that I want. And the second thing I want, I'll tell someone else to get it. Even if they don't want it, I'll try, like, you know, like push for it.
Yes.
And then like half everything. And that's like one of my favorite things to do, like no matter where I go.
That's completely fair. And I mean, not everyone is into that. From time to time, it's good to do, you know? Sometimes you just want to try as much as you can, but let's be real, there's not enough stomach sometimes to eat everything. But I do agree with that. And I mean, just like food is such another way to connect. So either you go to a restaurant and you're having a nice meal just to have a meal and go out with friends, or you are going to a restaurant to like celebrate a special occasion. When it comes to food, also, when you're preparing it yourself at home, it's another way to connect. Like if you're like with others, then you can like it's a fun time in the kitchen. It can get messy and like all the dishes don't even get me started on that. But it's also another fun time to experiment yourself in the kitchen and try out things. And then when you're traveling, food is another way to get to know the culture that you're in the place that you're visiting. And it does tell like food does tell a story. And there's many dishes around the world that they're known of the way they were created and why they were created. And it's always fantastic to know the history behind a dish.
Oh, absolutely. So as you brought up traveling, what's your favorite food from Mexico? Your hands down number one food that you could eat every day.
Oh, from Mexico. Okay. So I'm gonna split this into two. One will be street food and the other one will just be like actually like like you have to prepare it and it's like in the kitchen. So when it comes to street food, hands down, it's very stereotypical, but I do love me some tacos. Like going to like getting some tacos at the street, or like going to this little business to get some like night tacos. Like the awesome thing is like you can get tacos at like 2 a.m, 3 a.m after a party, and it's just like, okay, this is the perfect hangover food at the moment. And there's so many different things you can put on tacos, right?
Oh
And
yeah.
and the thing is, like in these places, it's not like the big tacos that you usually get like abroad. There's like the small ones. Like we have like they're like they use small tortillas, so you can have many of them and try different flavors. Um, and actually, one of my favorite ones is actually tripe, which is kind of like kind of like not the typical one, but oh, a good like crispy tripe taco. It's amazing. And then when it comes to like the kitchen side and something that is more elaborate, my favorite dish since I was young, it's called mole, and it is delicious. And mole is just a sauce, but you can put it in enchiladas with you put some boiled chicken in a like a folded tortilla, and then you put the mole on top of it, and it is just to die for. And once again, there's so many different kinds of moles, but my favorite mole it is like the typical mole poblano, which is when someone prepares a good mole, it is made out of like 20 something ingredients in which you combine different kinds of chilies and chocolate, which people find very surprising that we do put some cocoa in that, like in like what is considered some sort of a spicy sauce. But those are my two favorite Mexican dishes. How about you, Brishang? What would you say, like out of your favorite cuisines? I know you mentioned lasagna being your top Italian food. So let's say for Thai food, what is like your go-to Thai food?
For Thai food, like I said, the peanut sauce, peanut sauce for me is just it's one of my favorite. Like I know it's not like a dish; it's more like a thing that you dip other food in. But it's one of my favorite dipping things, I guess, or condiments, I guess.
Hmm.
The reason I asked you about your favorite food in Mexico was because I wanted to talk about Nepali food.
Oh yeah, let's
So
talk about it.
I'm gonna go the same route as you did, split it into street food and homemade food. Obviously, you can make everything at home, but the best food is street food sometimes.
Yes.
For street food, it has to be pani puri. Like so, in the streets of Nepal, India, I'm sure you can get it in like other brown countries. Like
Hmm.
in South Asia. It's like this fried dough ball where you crack the top and then you put this like liquid, like it's a mint chutney liquid,
Okay.
along with this other like spicy sauce. And then you can also put like these potatoes that are like specially prepared for those. So like it all goes together. Like once you Google it, it makes more sense. But you essentially have this small little ball where you pretty much fill it yourself. You dip it in this like mint chutney water and then you eat that as a whole. It's probably one of the like best things that you can get in the streets of Kathmandu or any like brown city.
Hmm.
It's really good. Like I don't know if you've ever tried it. If you haven't, you got to come down to Regina because there's this place where you can get it.
I'll make sure I'll schedule in that drive-in because as you're talking about it, my mouth is starting to water. So I might have to just make the 2 hour and a half drive just to get it.
Oh yes, come. Actually, these days I think I'm not sure if Superstore or Walmart, but one of those places has it too. It has like the kit, so it comes in this big like container of like the fried balls,
Hmm.
and then you can get like the mix that you mix in like with water and like you put it in. It's actually not bad,
Okay.
but like for the authentic ones, you have to like go to India or Nepal or like Pakistan to try it for the first time.
Yeah, we'll see when I get to go there.
And then for homemade, like I gotta go with momos. Like I talk about those all the time with everyone. And
You put that on your Instagram every single time you're making momos, and I'm just like, can you just ship some up here, please?
see, the funny thing is, it's not just me. Like every Nepali, it's like a unwritten rule that if we have momos, you have to post it on Instagram. Like it's just a rule that all Nepalis do because we're so proud of it. For the listeners that don't know what momos are, it's essentially a dumpling, a sort of dumpling. It's almost like a Chinese dumpling, except like the wrap, I guess the dough is a lot thinner, and we have a little bit more meat. Because like
Okay.
the Chinese dumplings, their dough is pretty thick. Their
Yes.
pork dumplings it's a little thick, but ours, it's mostly more about the fillings. And for me, like not just me, but like all Nepalis love momos. Like I don't think I know a single Nepali that doesn't like momos. And you can get it in so many like different kinds. Like so when I went to New York 2 years ago now, I stopped at this momo store. So they have literally like 10 or 12 different kinds of momos. Usually at home, the way you make it is you just wrap it, you get the ground chicken. You put like spices, coriander, onions, grind it all up, and then package it, and then you steam it.
Okay.
And then you have like different sauces to dip it in, and then you eat it with that, you know. But nowadays, we're not nowadays, but in the last like, you know, few years, the bigger things with momos is called Zol momo. So it's like in almost like a more gravy type of thing. It's not just by itself. People put it in like gravy and eat it, or you can like deep fry it and eat it, or you can do so much things with momos nowadays. Like it's actually really cool to see because like I said, when I went to New York, I went to the store. They had like 12 different kinds of momos, and it, like they're like I tried 4 different kinds, and they give you like one order consists like 8. So like at that day, I had so many momos. Like I actually no, because I had 3 at that store, and then I went to a restaurant later that night, and then I had 3 other like types. So 6 types of momos that day.
Wow.
It was I can't get enough out of that. And now in Regina, like in I think since May 2018, we one of like our family friends, he actually opened up his own Nepali restaurant.
Okay.
And next time you come, I'll take you there. But it's probably one of the best Nepali foods I've had, and for the price, it's like really good too.
That's the other thing I would say. I do appreciate when I go to like South Asian restaurants almost anywhere. It's like whatever you pay for, the amount of food you're getting for it is more than worth it. You know,
Yes, absolutely, yeah.
that's something I've seen like across the board is like you actually get your money's worth. Where I would say when it comes to Latin American and Mexican food, sometimes they can do get pricey, and sometimes I do not appreciate it. But because I'm so far away from home, I'm just like, you know what, I'm willing to pay for it. But there are times that they do overcharge you, and I'm just like, you know, that's not fair. But you know that people will come anyways, and that's why you're putting that price in there.
I
But
mean, it's not bad as like, you know, Cactus Club in Saskatoon or like Moxie's and Earl's, where honestly sometimes I just feel even more hungry after eating food from there because it's like 20 some dollars for like, you know, a bowl or like some chicken with mushrooms, but it just doesn't fill you up, right?
yeah, there's places definitely that do that. So like you kind of like need to know what to order in order to get to make you feel like that you had enough. But yeah, no, honestly, Rashank, everything you said, I'm just like, I need to go down. Like once you're out of lockdown, I'm gonna go. Like
Yes, you'll have to come down here and
absolutely.
we'll go feasting Nepali food.
I'm down for that. Like I honestly, like I do mean it. Like I do love my other kind of brown food.
Switching food topics, another food that I recently fell in love with is pork belly bao buns. I don't know if you've had those. Yeah, I think they're like from Taiwan or China. I think mostly Taiwan. They're so good. Like the pork belly is like this has a sweet flavor, and the bao buns it's like steamy and like just fresh. New place right by my house. They started selling them. Oh, it's so good. I've been there like 2, 3 times already, and I go there. I want to go there more often because it's one of the things I recently found out about.
Bao buns are so good for Shag. I'm also like they open up like a local business here for bao buns, and it is just like this is amazing. Like so good. They're so good. And like once again, it depends on the filling that you put, but they do like the bao bun complements the whatever filling you put on it, and it is fantastic.
Yeah, that's one of the best things I like about food is you can do so many things with it. It's like, you know, like I'm not trying to be like Gordon Ramsay or like, you know, a chef from Food Network, but like just creating your own like food, whether it's with just like basic things with like chicken or like, you know, go a little bit more exquisite and like trying new types of fish to like, you know, grill or something. It's really like cool and unique, you know, like I love eating and I love eating too, but the worst part about all that is just the cleaning afterwards, right?
Oh, it's always I'm just like every single time, like either meal prep or like I make something nice for myself. I just look at the like at the stove at the countertops, and then I look at my sink, and I'm just like, I hate myself. So much work that needs to be done, but I do enjoy cooking for myself, but I always enjoy a lot more cooking for other people. So when it is Mexican Independence Day or Day of the Dead, things like that, I love cooking for people and having them over and just trying some like traditional food and getting them into like the cultural aspect of things.
Mhm.
So that is something that I truly enjoy doing, is cooking for others.
Yeah, I agree with you because like even like with momos, it's so much more fun when you have like because you don't like cook it all at once and eat it all at once. You do it in like different like phases almost. So like you get the whole family. Like back in Nepal, you invite like all of your family over. You all make it together. You like cook it, then you all eat it together. But then you make some more because everyone gets like 10 pieces or like less. So the whole like social aspect of eating, I just love.
Exactly, it's those all that social aspect. And is it kind of like a brown thing that just brown people we enjoy cooking for others?
I don't know. I hope not because I would like to think everyone enjoys it, but yeah, I've noticed that too. It's just like more of a brown, like not even brown, like just an almost like an immigrant thing where, you like cooking for each other and as a big like group and stuff.
That's true. So just let us know on Instagram if you enjoy cooking for people or not, and we'll see. Well, actually, we'll see how many like what is the ratio of people that love cooking for other people and who doesn't. And it's completely
Yeah.
fine if you don't. Not the kitchen is not for everyone, just like
Yeah,
many other
exactly.
things.
Yeah, like some people just like cooking for themselves, and like trying new things for themselves, which is perfectly fine, right? Like everyone's different.
Absolutely. The one thing that I would say, kind of like I mentioned before, is that when it comes to spicing or seasoning your food, you cannot do it only with salt and pepper.
I'm so glad you brought this up because that when I go shopping, like grocery shopping, two of my favorite things to do. One is buy tea. Like I love drinking like herbal tea these days, or in the last like couple years.
Mhm.
I've tried to like phase out coffee and like regular tea from my habits into
Yes.
more like herbal stuff. So I love buying tea. But the second thing I love buying is spices. Like if you go to my spice like drawer right now, I have over like 15, 20 spices. I sometimes like I'll be on like a YouTube channel where they're cooking with different spices. And
Mhm.
like I want to buy it, even though you can't get it here and you have to like order it online. Like some of my favorite things to do is just like is trying different spices on chicken because chicken goes so well with so many things
Oh, yes.
and you can find so many unique flavors with chicken. So like, I'll get that big tray of chicken from like Costco
Mhm.
and then I'll marinate it all with different things and like freeze it and then I can cook it at different times so it doesn't go bad. And so I love trying that with spices and I like, and you're right, salt and pepper, that's not even a spice to me because honestly salt everyone should be using that, because you still
Yes.
need iodine for your health, not too
Yeah.
much but you still need that. And pepper, like for me that's not a spice.
It isn't. And of course, you have a drawer with spices. I'm just going to put it like that. Of course, you have a drawer with spices.
Yeah, I'm brown. Sue me.
I mean, you said it, but like, I mean, it's obvious that you had one. I don't know. It's just like exploring different things. And it is just like, oh, man, I just was like, I'm just ready to going back to the moment in which food once again can unite people and that we can like do things around food and just either cooking for others, hosting, or just going to restaurants to celebrate or just for like a nice dinner. I'm just ready for food to bring this back to us.
Yep, I'm really excited for that too. That's one of the eating. Like I love eating, so one of the biggest things that COVID took away from a lot of people was the social aspect of just going to a restaurant, trying new food,
Yes,
trying new drinks, trying new appetizers, whatever people like that we've all missed.
exactly. And with that, yeah, the end is almost there. But in the meanwhile, still support local businesses. That's the one thing I really enjoyed. Like not enjoyed, but that I've been trying to do over this past year is really supporting local businesses. And I've been surprised sometimes with the quality of food that they have. So even after all of this, I will continue to support local businesses because honestly, sometimes the quality it's better than other places.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I agree with you. So before we wrap up the show for today, I want to ask you, what's your least favorite food? Like, what's one food? I know both of us were not that picky, but we both have food that we don't like. What's your number one most despised food, Andreas?
I can answer this like off the top of my head, and it's liver. I hate liver. I grew up when my mom will cook liver for us, like either chicken liver or like cow liver. And no, I hate it. Some people enjoy it. I just can't get into it. I hate the flavor of it. I just can't. And having studied biomedical sciences, I know what happens in a liver. So no, thank you. Like I won't like no, I can't no. Like like literally liver is just like it's one of those things that it might be a delicacy for some people, or some people would love it, but not for me. How about you, Brishang? What is one thing that you don't like eating?
Like I said, there's not many things that I don't like, but the one thing that I cannot stand, no matter how you make it, is our eggplants. Like, I don't know why, but just like it just won't go down my throat. I know that sounds really gross, but like I've tried so many ways. Like I'll like barbecue it. My mom makes eggplant curry. Like I've tried it so many ways, but like no matter which way I make it, I really don't like eggplants.
Hey, it's not for everyone. The eggplant ain't for everyone, Brishang.
All right, that's all for today's main topic. What are you looking forward to for this week, Andres?
For this week, what I'm looking forward, honestly, man, like I know we talk about the weather a lot, but it's just like back to being gorgeous. So I'm just ready once again, just to keep on enjoying the weather, pulling out some shorts, start showing off those legs. But I'm ready for the nice weather, and you know what? Ready to like just in my mind, just starting like doing like I would say this week might be a little bit more of a reflection week for me. Don't know why, but I feel like it's more of a reflective week. So ready to do some of that work. How about you, Rishang? What's coming up for you this week?
This week, there's lots of things happening in the sports world that I'm excited for. So, at the time of recording, the Final Four of the NCAA basketball tournament's happening.
Okay.
Where Baylor already beat Houston, and Gonzaga and UCLA are playing for the championship game, which is on Monday night, so tonight. And then the Indian Premier League for cricket starts on the 9th, I believe, so I'm looking forward to that. And then baseball season's back, although, I used to watch baseball way more back when I was younger. I still watch it here and there, so baseball season started last week, so I'm looking forward to watching a couple of games here and there. Lots of things happening. I'm also going... On Sunday, I will be going to play disc golf.
Okay.
In Douglas Park in Regina, there's an 18-hole disc golf. You take your own frisbees and then you just go throw it around. I think it should be good. I think it's supposed to be a little bit windy, but like you said, the weather has been so nice lately. It should be a good time out there.
That sounds lovely, Brishang. And yeah, so I'm excited for everything. I'm excited to hear out from everyone. Let us know. We'll do a couple of more things on our Instagram in regards to today's episode, but we want to hear from you. What does food mean to you? Like, and what does it bring to your life? Like, we want to hear from you. And what, like Brishang said at the very beginning, if you want us to mention it or stay anonymous, just let us know, because we do really enjoy interacting with every single one of you. And we want to bring your opinions over to our podcast, because they really do enrich our conversation.
Absolutely. And the other thing is, like, we've already talked about food in our 4th episode, but that doesn't mean we're going to stop talking about food, because we want this podcast to go for a long time, and food's one of the biggest part of our lives. So you know what? We might be talking about food again and again. Right? No matter when or how you feel about food, let us know. We'll bring it up.
Exactly. We're here for that. Like, food is going nowhere, and same does travel, and same as other topics. So, if you want us to talk about something, like I keep on saying, just slide in our DMs and let us know, like, hey, how about you talk about this topic or topic B or C, and we'll definitely bring it up. And we'll really appreciate some of your input of like, what do you want us to listen us talk about. So yeah, just slide in our DMs, and yeah, we'll continue talking about everything and anything in this world, and bringing it from like the point of view of 2 average brown bros.
Absolutely. And that's our Instagram page that you can reach us at, the 2 average brown bros podcast. We're on Instagram, Twitter, not yet on Facebook. We should probably do that soon. You can listen to us on Spotify, now Apple, iTunes, Google Podcasts, literally anywhere, right?
Anywhere you can listen to us talk.
All right, have a good week. We'll see you on the next episode. See ya.
Bye.